heavyweight boxing fans, what's the deal? So another post-fight video to an old school fight. This one was by request from a subscriber. Epic fight, man. I love watching this fight. George Foreman versus Lyle. Foreman was about 27 years old when this took place. Lyle was 33, getting ready to turn 34. The year was 76, man. And we know with Lyle, he did 8 years in prison. He was a remarkable fighter, man, for that era. For a guy to turn pro at 30. I mean, that sounds crazy, right? To turn pro at 30. Learn how to box when he did his 8-year stretch in prison. He was convicted of murder in a Denver gang fight when he was 19 years old. While he was in prison, he got stabbed and he narrowly survived surgery. So he wasn't going to be intimidated by nobody, whether it was Ali trying to get in his head or whether it was Big George Foreman staring at him across the ring. He wasn't going to be intimidated, man. Prior to this fight, he had came in, he had KO'd Shavers, beat Boone Kirkman, beat Jimmy Ellis, beat Oscar Bonavena, Buster Mathis, Jose Luis Garcia, who famously is known for knocking out Kenny Norton. And he has some losses. He has some bumps in the road. Quarry, Ali, and Young. What was ironic about this, though, is him, Foreman, after this fight, unexpectedly, after this fight, that set up his rematch with Joe Frazier. He beat Scott Ledoux, a few other guys. But the fight he ended up losing was to Young. He also lost to Young. So both these guys had some things in common. They were both got outboxed by Young, and both guys got TKO'd, got stopped by Muhammad Ali. And you can argue that Lyle had more success in his Ali fight than Foreman did. This fight was, when you look at it in hindsight, this was closer than most thought. Now, going into this fight, doing the research and just, watching this fight, a lot of fans, a lot of people thought that Lyle would have a chance in this fight if he got the fight past 5 rounds. But anything from, the first 4 rounds, they thought there was a good chance of him possibly being knocked out because of his style that he likes to come and fight. And that's the type of thing that Foreman wants, is for you to come and fight. And for you to be right there to get hit. All right, now Foreman was repairing his reputation after the Ali loss. He had this thing he did out in Toronto where he fought like 5 dudes in one night. It was pretty pathetic, man, to see an all-time great do some shit like that. But, he wanted to show that he can beat 5 men up in one night. It didn't count towards his record. It was all in the same night. He was trying to rebuild his image, man, to be that brute force destroyer type. He had switched trainers. He switched over to Gil Clancy. Some of you remember Gil Clancy doing those HBO commentator positions back in the early 90s. But Clancy had worked with Jerry Quarry. So you can hear him throughout this fight telling Foreman to go to the body, George. Go to the body, George. You can hear him during the whole fight trying to give directions to Big George Foreman in this fight. Now, before I get to the fight, man, just some of the memorable quotes from this fight. Listen to Howard Cosell. Foreman fights back. Foreman fights back. Lyle fights back. Now it's Lyle. It's Lyle. He was going crazy in this fight. And another thing that I noticed is he referenced Ken Norton getting beat by Foreman literally about 6 times during the telecast. He kept saying, like, during the fight, where's that Foreman that, knocked out Joe Frazier? And where's the Foreman that KO'd the guy next to me, Kenny Norton? He said it about 6 times. I know Norton was probably like, dude, okay, we get it already. He knocked me out. Shit. Norton was the #1 rated heavyweight at that time when this fight was going on. So him and Cosell were doing the blow-by-blow. Now, on to the fight, man. I had to just do that little backdrop. But on to the fight. Classic. It was a classic fight, man. Epic stare down when both guys were getting the directions in the middle of the ring. Lyle, Foreman, they both come out jabbing. Foreman was looking measured. He was calm. He was stalking Lyle. Lyle was kind of, I'm going to say he was tricking George, but he was just circling, jabbing, finding the distance, finding the right distance. And he was circling away from George's right hand. He kept circling to his left. So he was circling away from George, trying to take away that right hand. And then right when, George thought that they were just going to jab and kind of just, posture a little bit. Boom. That's when Lyle started landing good lefts, good right hands, good overhand rights. He landed a huge overhand right that stunned Foreman, that set him up with the jab. Foreman went out to like block the jab with both gloves, and boom, he got hit with a right hand over the top. It forced it forced him to clinch. It had forced Foreman to clinch. That's how bad it hurt him. That was towards like the 22nd mark of the first round. I gave Lyle that round 10-9. I gave him that round. Round two, they come out. Lyle started to press Foreman. Foreman was jabbing Lyle. He was out jabbing, in my opinion. Big left uppercut staggered Lyle. Then he backs up to the ropes. It was kind of like Zaire all over again. It was kind of like, man, is George going to get him to the ropes and just burn all his energy out? You know, as you could tell, George was trying to think his way through. You know, he was throwing filler punches, throwing punches with nothing with nothing on him really. Then he'll come behind those with left hooks and right uppercuts, and he was pawing with the jab, and then he'll shoot a hard jab in there. You could tell he was trying to think his way through it. Foreman started to batter Lyle on the ropes until the round ended. When the round ended, they both kind of stared at each other. They were staring each other down as the bell rang. Now, with this round, it only went 2 minutes. It only went 2 minutes, man. So who knows if George would have tried to, if he would have kept applying the pressure, could he have got Lyle out of it or knocked him down or hurt him? Or would he have, drained his energy? Would he have came back strong? Who knows? But that minute is gone. But that round was only 2 minutes. I gave that round to George Foreman. All right. Round three. Both fighters come out firing. Lyle was pressuring Big George. Foreman, he started to push. And, I always say Foreman got away with pushing a lot in his career. That was like one of his go-to moves. He did it to Norton, and he did it to Frazier a lot, man. He was pushing Frazier off balance, and then boom, come with them uppercuts and hooks. But anyways, he started to push. But the thing in this fight is Lyle was taking advantage of Big George pushing. When George would try to push and he'll leave his arms extended, Lyle will come over with right hooks and overhand rights and overhand lefts. But Foreman, he was starting to double up the jab. He was working the jab pretty good, man. This is the round you can hear Clancy saying, hook to the body, George, hook to the body. He wanted George to start ripping to the body, and he didn't want him just headhunting and missing those huge hooks and huge uppercuts. He didn't want him to tire himself out. Lyle was looking just to sit on the ropes and counter Foreman back with right hands. When Foreman would throw his right hand, Lyle was looking to counter that with his right hand. Lyle started to paw and parry against the ropes. Foreman was on the attack, taking his time. Round ends with Lyle on the ropes. And let me just touch back on how this fight was going to be a lot closer than most expected, because Foreman 6'4", 6'4", Lyle about 6'3". I think Foreman had like a 79-inch reach. I think Lyle had a 76. Both had power. You could probably argue George had more power, but George was 226. He weighed 226 for the fight, and Ron Lyle weighed 220. So both around the same size, man. Both around the same size. So George just couldn't take full advantage of Ron Lyle like he was trying to do, man. Lyle was fucking stubborn. He was real stubborn. He wouldn't just let George bully him and have his way. But I gave Foreman round three. I thought Foreman won round three. Now round four comes up. Both guys come out fighting. Overhand right caused trouble. Big overhand right caused trouble to Foreman that Lyle landed. Foreman has damn arms extended out, ready to push. He got caught with it. Left hook, a huge left hook, puts Foreman down. Big George gets up. Lyle starts to look a little gassed, little winded. He was trying to capitalize right away, but he couldn't. Both were standing in the middle of the ring trading hooks. Then they just started. It was like they were both gassed, both trading multiple hooks. Left hooks, right hooks at the same time, like simultaneously landing on each other, missing the hooks at the same time. It looked like a damn movie. So then they started trading hooks. Foreman, he floors Lyle with the big right hand. Now Lyle hits the ground. Lyle gets up. He's on the ropes. He's hurt. Foreman was taking his time. Then he starts to open up hooks and uppercuts, all these big shots. He tires out. Lyle storms back. Then Lyle hits Foreman with a huge right hand, drops Foreman face first on the side of his face at the very end of the round. It was only a few seconds left. Foreman gets up. He beats the count. Man, it didn't look like he was going to get up. When he first hit the ground, it didn't look like he was going to get up. I gave Ron Lyle this round. He had 2 knockdowns. Foreman had 1 knockdown. That's round 4. And then round 5, Lyle comes out. He was pushing forward, being the aggressor. Lyle lands huge left on Foreman. Foreman staggering all over the place. Looked like he was on fucking ice. He was just stumbling, wailing around all over the place. But then Lyle got tired in the process of all of that. Huge left hooks, whips Foreman's head around. He was getting caught with some shots, man. Foreman had a really good chin. It looked like Lyle was getting tired. Looked like both guys were getting tired just hitting each other. Missing was getting them tired, but hitting each other like it was getting each other tired too. Almost like, dude, would you just go down and stay down? All right, then both were getting tired. They were both landing huge uppercuts. A right uppercut landed for Lyle. Foreman was charging forward with hooks, uppercuts. Lyle was out on his feet against the ropes. Foreman just kept landing filler shots and then big shots. He just kept landing and landing. Lyle was literally against the ropes, out on his feet. The ref could have stepped in and stopped the fight had he wanted to. Foreman just kept swinging until pretty much Lyle fell over. Boom, Lyle falls face first. He went down face first. He kind of got up a little bit to his knees. Then he fell right back down on his back, sprawled out. Game over. Epic fight. Epic fucking fight, man. Just wanted to get this out there, add to my series of old school fights. If any of you guys got any suggestions, please send them to me, man, and I'll watch those fights. This fight, I've watched plenty of times, but even watching it for the first time still excites me to this day, man. It's an epic fight. I'm out.